People asking me, because I've got one or two businesses, they ask a lot of questions like, how did you get into business? How did you start? I did a talk not too long ago. So I'm going to go over a few of the points that I mentioned. The first thing I should say you should ask yourself is, what do you want to make from the business? Very important question, because when people come to me and ask for advice to start something, I say, okay, what do you want to make from the business? And that's one question that people don't actually know and want to ask. And you can't go into business without doing a feasibility test. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is this: what do you want to make from the business? Is it 2K a month profit? Is it 3K a month profit? Because then you can scale things back and see whether it's feasible. Prime example, Chiz does events, okay? Now, the first thing when hiring a venue is they ask you a bar spend, isn't it? Usually there's a bar spend to the venue. Now, let's say the capacity is 100, yeah? And let's say the bar spend is 5K. Would you take that venue on?
No.
Why not?
Because the amount of people it's too tight.
Okay. Meaning what? So what's the average spend you would say for someone going out?
The reason why I want to do 5K, I might do event 100 people, 70-30, 70% women, 30% guys. Yep. So that means I'm waging that 5K is going to come from the 30% guys, because we know guys spend more money when
it comes to raving, bottles
on bottles and that, and women go to the bar and they most likely buy like Prosecco and wine.
So what would you say the
margins
average
on Prosecco and wine might be tight. So
what's the average spend for people who go out raving? Would you say the average spend per head?
So let's say like a bottle of Prosecco is £20.
Well, what do you say the average spend is per person? So let's say in general, who goes out?
For guys, it will be like 80 to 100.
Each guy?
It depends. If you're around, let's say like when I do Summer of Love, for guys it will be like 80 to 100.
And then women?
£20.
£20. Okay, so I would say the average spend, I would say in general, if doing an event, I would say probably say, you're saying that 80 for guys, 20 for women. So that makes it £50 a head then. So what you're saying then is technically you could do the event then.
No, in Summer of Love, yes, but Summer of Love is not 100 capacity, because what you're gonna have is £50 per head. You got 30 people paying £50 per head, that's 1.5. You got 70 people paying £20 a head, that's 1.4. So you only hit 2.9.
Okay, so that means the average spend per head would probably be about what? Say £30 a head then?
Just under.
Just under 30.
Yeah,
plus minus, we ain't got a calculator here.
£29 per head.
Which means that if I was going to tell you to hire a venue, which was 100 capacity with a £3,000 bar spend, would you be more interested?
Make it 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so that goes to show the first thing is what you want to make from the event.
Yeah.
What you want to make from it. And then you need to do a feasibility test, which is the first thing. So I'm going to ask you these questions now. So moving on from that, I say number one is what do you want to make from the business. That's the most important thing.
And also you got to realize you have to think about what type of event. So if it was something like Locks, I'll never say 2.5, I'll say more 2.
Okay.
Because I know on a Sunday, for instance, people are not going to drink hard because on Monday they got work.
Yep.
So it's more chilled night. So you have to think what day of the week.
Okay, cool.
So Friday or Saturday, you can take that higher margin risk, but on a Sunday you can't.
Yeah, because people tend to drink more on the weekend, Friday, Saturday. So that leads into number 2, which I would say is feasibility test and being realistic.
Yeah.
So for instance, going into events and any business, you need to have a feasibility test and be realistic. So if I told them to come and hire out Scion, which has 100 capacity, if I told them a 5K bar spend, it's not realistic. Because it's very unlikely that someone's going to be spending £50 a head. So I'd say £25 a head is technically 2 drinks. The average person can drink 2 drinks without being over the limit.
Unless 30 of those guys are dope boys and scammers.
Then you might be all right. But you have to remember that there's a limit. And usually it's between 2 drinks to maximum 3. And if the average drink is about £12.50, that's £25 a head. So he's right. £2,500 would be a reasonable bar spend, being realistic and being feasible. Okay, so number 3, moving on from that, I would say events was my mixtape. Meaning this. Before plunging into spending big amount of money, I'd always say do a test. And what you find is a lot of artists, they do mixtapes. So for instance, with me, before I wrote a book back in the day, I used to blog. And before I opened a restaurant, I used to do events, which made me say to myself that if I can do events, okay, and bring people to other people's venues, surely I can open my own restaurant and bring people there. In the same way, Chiz has done personal training at other people's gyms. So surely if he opens his own gym, they did in his back garden, people are gonna come here and train. Did you go on?
It's a bit more techie. Because remember, one, my main client base is in the area where I grew up. So my main original client base are from Brixton, Streatham, Clapham, Camberwell, Kenton. So they were like within 1 mile of Brixton. So where my network it tends to be very, very strong is in southwest London.
Okay.
Down here, I don't know as much people. Yeah, down here.
But wouldn't you argue and say though that because you've done PT and people have come and used use other people's facilities, as much as your demographic is based more towards that area, wouldn't you say that that gave you some kind of encouragement? That if you can train people in the park or train people at their gym, surely if there's people around this area, but people have travelled to train with you though.
No, people travel to train with me, but the thing is with that, it's not consistent. Because remember,
but if he was in Brixton, Camberwell, if you lived in Brixton, would you not say it'd be a lot more? You'd have more clients.
Yeah, it'll be a madness.
Yeah,
it'll be a madness just based on location. Because remember, you've got so much trains and so much tubes running into Brixton. Yeah, like last year, I had 5 clients who came from Northwest to here, but that was like an hour and a half drive. So by the time we got to winter, it wasn't feasible because like be motivated driving in the dark, leaving here at this time, and so it's a bit different.
But I would say definitely. The reason why I say events needs to be your mixtape is because it's something that you can do without spending the big money. Does that make sense? So for instance, you're training in someone else's gym and you're getting a lot of clients coming, which means people like what you do. Yeah. Which means all you need to do is get your own equipment and start your own thing. Hence being events was my mixtape. Number 4, become an apprentice. Which means I would say learn the craft. Learn what you're doing. Yeah. So for instance, before I opened a restaurant, I started working in restaurants and bars to see exactly what was happening. Yeah. So same way with Chiz, he's been a personal trainer in gyms before. Okay, become an apprentice. That for me is number 4. Very important. Go and learn the craft and get rid of your ego. Go and work somewhere and even if it's for free, you can learn all the crooks and nicks about a business, and that way you can take all of those expertise and start your own. When to leave your 9 to 5. Very important thing. Very important, yeah. When would you say the right time is to leave your 9 to 5?
It should be at a point where I reckon your side hustle now, or what you want to be your main hustle, is bringing enough to cover you on your normal lifestyle, your bills, everything, and you knowing that yourself, like now that if I put the same effort and time that I'm putting into my normal job into this side hustle, I'm going to double up. Then now you know that, you know what, I could just drop that out and just leave, because now, before I had my normal 9 to 5 as my safety barrier, but now knowing that if I put the same effort into what I'm doing, it might even generate more than my 9 to 5.
Well, when was the last time you actually had a 9 to 5? As in like a 9 to 5 where you were asked to go into a workplace at a specific time and date and you had to go. So not when you were self-employed, but someone else.
2012.
2012.
Yeah,
and
for
what
like
made
a
you,
few months.
And what was that?
I was doing security during the Olympic period.
And why did you eventually decide to leave security to go and do your own thing?
The timing didn't make no sense, because I was working, so I had to be at work by 8 o'clock, and I was finishing. We were closing at 9, but realistically, I meant to finish at 9, but I'm not getting out of there till 10. Yeah. And I'm literally leaving my house at 7. So basically, I'm spending 7 to about 11 outside my house. So by the time I get in, fall asleep, I'm up. Yeah. Shower, get out. So it just didn't make no sense to me. Okay. And I was doing like 6 days a week. Okay. So it just it was too tedious, because 6 days a week standing, you had 1 hour break and 2 15-minute breaks. So you was literally standing in the space of, let's say, like 4 of these bricks on the floor. Yeah. Literally the whole day.
But then again, that means you took a risk and a gamble, just literally leaving work to try and... So what did you start doing as soon as you left?
So at the same time, I was doing... so really and truly, I was working security 7 days a week, because I had a Sunday job at Vauxhall Market security. Okay. And that paid cash in hand. It paid slightly better than the other job. Then also... Friday, Saturday night, I was working security in the clubs as well. So really and truly, on Friday and Saturday, if I was working, I didn't even get to go home. So what would happen is, I would go from work straight to work, sleep there for like an hour before starting my shift, work my shift, sleep on the bus. So I'll set my alarm for like 20 minutes. Yeah. Roughly, I know by 20 minutes I would be somewhere like Overlook Kennington. Get up, go home, take a quick nap, jump on the train, get to work early, sleep for like 30 minutes before my shift starts, work, and during my breaks, And during my breaks on Saturday, I'll just sleep through my breaks.
But my thing is that when you left there, security, what did you do straight after security?
So I still stayed doing the club security.
Yeah.
And doing the Sunday security.
Yeah.
Then eventually I picked up probably like early 2013. That's when I started studying for my personal training course.
Okay.
Yeah. Then eventually I picked up personal training and security.
Yeah.
Then eventually dropped out security and just stuck to personal training.
Personal training.